right, everybody. Seven Figures or Bust podcast, episode 97. The number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. Christian Brindle, Glenn Shelton. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday morning.
Happy Monday. Guys, I want to first address the audio-only audience because I know there's some of you out there, you don't get to see our beautiful faces.
Growing community.
Yes, growing community. We're on all places you can find a podcast for audio platforms, iTunes, Spotify, etc. Christian Brindle right now is wearing Mickey ears. I guess it's actually Minnie ears. Sorry, Minnie Mouse ears with a pink bow, as well as a Jokic jersey, a Nikola Jokic jersey, which he did not have this in his closet. He already admitted he just went out and bought.
Yeah.
It's safe to say the curse has been broken, you guys. I have been losing bets to Christian on NBA Finals, the NBA playoffs, almost like clockwork every year.
For years. Many years.
For years. Since like 2021, from the very first summit, it has been tradition. And the tradition has been me losing. So to see this now, I need to also take a picture for my son was very invested in this because I told him what was on the line. Hang on, here we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, he was very invested watching Game 7. He's like, "You're going to have to wear a tiara, Dad. You're going to have to wear a tiara." And I was like, no!
So I wanted to make a couple statements about this game and this series real quickly.
Please do.
I know that the audience doesn't love the NBA talk. We're going to try to keep it to 5 minutes at the most today.
Yes. Yes. We got a big topic today.
And we have a special guest on the show that we'll be introducing in the next couple of minutes here. I want to say this, right? James Harden is a disgrace. James Harden is the biggest playoff choker who's ever played in the NBA, who's been a multiple, like he's a future Hall of Famer, right? I see people constantly saying he's better than Dwayne Wade. Give me a break. Like, this is a guy. I've been watching him since he got drafted, came into the NBA. He's since he was in Oklahoma City as a sixth man, choked away big playoff games like clockwork. It's almost like few things are certain in life. The sun comes up in the morning. We will be doing this show at the same time on Monday through Thursday. And James Harden, if he's in a big game, will have like 9 points and won't pass the 3-point line, won't move, just stand around. Disappears. Yeah. You forget he's out there. I don't know why I would ever bet on it. It was basically, to me, it came down to like, who do I trust more, Russell Westbrook or James Harden? I was like, oh, clearly I trust James Harden more. Unbelievable to me.
That moment of Westbrook getting teed up was like late third quarter, I think.
For hanging on the rim.
Yeah. That was an all-time moment for me. All I could think without having, I was like, this must be just hurting Christian's soul right now. I'm like, this is a spiritual death that Christian's experiencing watching Russell Westbrook dunk on him.
I feel very confident about the next rounds, though. Like, I think I can predict accurately every series except for Cleveland, Indiana. I refuse to pick on that one. But, like, so you have Minnesota, Lakers. I think I picked Minnesota, or not Lakers. The Lakers lost. Minnesota. Who are they playing? Golden State. I pick Minnesota in that series. You have Oklahoma City, Denver. I'm taking Oklahoma City, and then you have Boston and the Knicks. I'm taking Boston. Right. The rest of these feel like easy ones to me, except for Indiana, Cleveland. I'm not sure what to think about that one.
Totally agree. I was thinking maybe we could circle back on this in the semis. I think there might be some interesting matchups in the semis that could be worth, if you want to try to redeem yourself. Maybe we run something back similar to this. But yes, what a lovely challenge this was.
Well, the pendulum swings and the pendulum has swung. All right, I want to shift gears into introducing our guest for today's show.
Yes.
Somebody that I've gotten to know over the past year or so. She runs an awesome organization that probably doesn't get as much mainstream publicity in the agent communities as like maybe a NABIP would or something like that. But I see her impact being made constantly. Organization called HAFA. Her name is Ronnell Nolan, and she is, by her own admission, a pit bull. She fights for agents. She is an agent. She's been running HAFA for many, many years, and she's one of my favorite all-time people. She just wrapped up spending some time with CMS representatives literally last week, and we have a lot to hear about. Welcome to the show, Ronnell. You're muted, though. We cannot hear you.
It's the bunny ears. It's just totally not bunny ears. It's even Mickey ears. Not even bunny ears.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be on the show today and share some of the things that's going on crazy on Capitol Hill besides Mickey ears.
All right, let's start with your visit with CMS. I was watching from afar, right? We had already kind of discussed having you come on the show, and then I started seeing some of the posts about it, and I was like, oh, what a great time for you to come on the show to talk about this. First off, what were the meetings about? Who were you meeting with at CMS without giving names? Like, what were their titles and those kind of things? And what did you feel about the overall ending point or progress on the visits? Talk about it.
Yeah. I'll just start. I'm going to back it up just a little bit and tell you from the beginning.
Yeah.
When I was speaking at the NAIC in Denver a few months back, calling CMS out on their shenanigans and had them sitting right behind me the entire time, I got a call from one of my friends that worked at Senate Help. And she said, there's somebody there that's a friend. Would you mind meeting with him and telling him what's going on in the agent community? I was like, absolutely. So I met with Peter Nelson. That name is important, Peter Nelson. And Peter was like, tell me what's going on. So I listed everything that all the trials, tribulations, everything that's happened to us in the last several years. And he's like, Ronnell, that's exactly what I thought. Then my spidey senses started going off, and I'm like, this man's going to be something, and I need to pay attention. So I got his cell phone number, part of my sleuthing and stalking things that I do to folks. So I got his cell phone number so I could talk to him forever. And then I started thinking, he's going to lead SCIO. He's going to be in charge of the ACA. So I started texting him saying, you're going to be the leader. And he's like, there's some rumors. And I kept going, #truth. Well, he is the leader of SCIO. So he heads the ACA. So I can say his name. That's who we met with. I met with him prior to him taking the job. I met with him as like weeks after he took his job. And then we met with him last week. So we met with him along with Dean Mose, who's been the leader of the ACA side. And what I always do with my agent folks is we have a debriefing breakfast. What do you want to talk to CMS about? Let's talk about it. I want you each to have a voice, each to have a story, and they all go around the room. Everybody knows when they're going to talk first, second, last. So everybody gets to speak. And they just brought all the different things that's happened on the ACA side, not on the Medicare side, because that side we haven't got someone to talk to yet. Not meaning that that's not going to happen, because that is happening. So a lot of things about, the things they did mention, stuff that's happened a little bit on the Medicare side with insurance companies and steering and things like that. But, the marketplace reps answering the phones, trying to sell products, and they're not licensed. And, the fact that they're, paid for 24 hours when there's no need for them to be paid 24 hours. And maybe that we needed to get involved with Doge. I mean, our members told everything that's ever touched them. We talked about what CMS did to all the innocent agents and how many people lost their whole business and lost their lives because CMS, went after somebody that was innocent. And now all those folks have gotten their certifications back, but it's a little too late after they've lost, millions and millions and millions and maybe even $1 billion. So it was phenomenal. What Peter said was, you are important to us. Agents and brokers have always been important, and realized that he worked with the Trump administration prior. So he worked for CMS, CIO prior, but he was hidden. I never knew him. He said, I worked with agents and brokers in Minneapolis. That's where he came from. And I know your importance. And I plan on continuing to support the agent broker community. So it was amazing. He had 1 hour. Of course, I was watching the clock, okay, next person. So everybody got to talk. And because the last time I talked to him, he started looking at his watch, and because I'm trying to talk fast, and he's like, I said, you watching your clock? Do you have to leave? And he's like, right now you got 4 minutes. And he said, and I said, I will get up and lock that door, but you're going to let me talk. And he just kind of giggled, thank God. He didn't think I was a total nutcase, but I was like, I need to get my point across, and I have a list of demands and things that's happened in the past that we don't ever want to happen again. And, he's just phenomenal. I think things are going to change. On the Medicare side, every time a name was given to me in the last 2 years, Medicare went underground. They didn't respond, whether it came from a congressional office, a senatorial office, or somebody in CMS. They went underground. So I met with Senator Cassidy before Trump won. And I said, can you help me get a person? And he said, Ronnell, why is that so hard? I said, I don't know. He said, I promise you, I will have you a person. So the other day, actually, when I got back on Friday, their staffer from Medicare for Senator Cassidy said, I got a response finally from Medicare. And they said, here's an info email that y'all can respond, ask questions. And here's one for ACA. What are your thoughts? And I'm like, that is the most obnoxious email I've ever seen in my life. I have the cell phone for the head of CIO, and you're going to tell me to write an info email to problems on Medicare? Absolutely not going to accept it. Not a good answer. And he's like, the staffer was like, I knew you were going to say that, but I had to show it to you, And I was like, no, you're going to give me somebody in Medicare that's going to be my contact, that's going to answer the stupid things y'all are doing on that side, because we need, final rules, all the stuff that they're doing, the steering that Medicare insurance companies are doing by requiring, paper apps, and by, not paying on certain insurance products so they can steer people where they want to be. We need somebody on CMS to talk to. So we're going to have that. And as soon as they have that, I will let you know. But another thing we talked about with Peter was the fact that there's no communication between agents, CMS, and insurance companies. Why? Why aren't they bringing us all to the table at the same time, where you don't have Blue Cross of Texas making up what they think CMS said, or insurance companies on CMS side being allowed to file their rates and then take an agent commission out of the scenario? CMS needs to hold these people to their feet to the fire. And why not bring us all to the table? When I talked to CMS the week prior in a trade call, they were like, well, we really don't know who to bring. And, nee. And I was like, okay, bad answer. This is ridiculous. Wasting my time. So let's go to the top. Let's tell Peter what we need. You need to have a meeting, some type of trade group where we bring in the insurance companies.
CMS, they're coming.
Thank you. And we're going to, we're going to hold people's feet to the fire. So it was funny. I had a call with an insurance company that was asking us about being a partner. And they were like, yeah, we were wondering how you got a, meeting with Peter, blah, blah, blah. We haven't got a meeting. And I'm like, well, maybe you don't have my stalker moves, but yeah, I met with them 3 times, and we will continue to meet with them. And yes, CMS is going to be on the agent broker side, and we're going to make sure insurance companies do what they're supposed to do. So that was a long story about CMS meeting, but look for good things. Look for good things. That's all I can say. Look for good things.
I love it.
I love the positivity. Ronnell, I do want to ask you a question. Like, there's this, in the agent community, there's this movement, this feeling that a lot of people have shared, where they feel like, and like, I'll give you a specific example of this, especially for our listeners who don't feel like I'm reaching. when Dr. Oz made this comment, I got Mehmet right here with me actually, but when Dr. Oz made a comment during his Senate confirmation hearing, it was he said something about like getting rid of bad brokers.
Middleman.
And so there's this feeling in the agent community that we're being villainized essentially as brokers, as agents. What was the feeling you were getting at Capitol Hill when it came to agents and brokers? Was it that same mentality? Are we the bad guys? What was being said behind closed doors?
Right. We're not the bad guys, and absolutely get over that. Yes, we were. Yes, we have still some fight that we need to do and some correcting that we need to do because some things happen. Realize that Dr. Oz was trying to get his job. He's talking. He probably might even not even remember saying that, but on my list of goals, it's behind my desk. He's on there. And I'm going to meet with him. Absolutely. I've already got my sleuthing skills and how I'm going to get there and who's going to get me there. So I'm already, tapping on the door. So we're going to meet with him. We're going to allow him to meet some agents and brokers. Senator Wyden was one who has come out publicly about agents and brokers and having his bill that will not go anywhere, just so you know, because Democrats do not have the majority. But his thoughts were his thoughts. So I decided, I always have these goals and dreams of what I want to do and how I want to do it. And I said, I met with Senator Wyden's staff before last session, and his bill wasn't as atrocious as this one. And I loved them. Cool people. We have friends on both sides of the aisle, cool people. So I said, I'm bringing board members from Texas and Michigan to the Hill. We'd love to meet with Senator Wyden, knowing good and well he's not going to meet. He thinks we're bad. But I knew the staff would. So I said, we had our debrief that morning. I said, I want you to tell these people your story. And I want you to share, what happens at home and how you help people and what it means to meet a real broker. By the end of that meeting, there were tears. The staff, their eyes were like wide open because I said, and I told them, I had a dream and I wanted you guys, because of your bill and because of what Senator Wyden has said, I wanted you to meet agents and brokers. And I wanted you to see what they do on a daily basis and how they help people and how they're the good guys and they're not the bad guys and they're the solution, they're not the problem. And I honestly think we made a difference. I honestly did. Now I'm definitely going to follow up with them. And the next group, I think we're bringing Texas and Georgia next. I'm going to bring the next group and we're going to continue to meet with them until he comes to the table, which he might be scared. And, I'd be scared of me too, but he comes to the table and he's able to meet us because he's hearing things that are not true or he's seeing things that are not true. And if he read some of the shenanigans that was being put out by the last CMS brass and still put out by the last CMS brass, then, I can understand he's thinking incorrectly. And I don't know if y'all heard about, the last CMS brass speaking at the Medicarians and the fact I threw my purse across the room, threw my phone down, and all of a sudden had a microphone in my hands. I was so mad because this gentleman was talking about how DOGE was taking away, people's jobs. And I said, where was this passion when you were taking away all my agents' jobs, their certifications, their book of business, and they were innocent? And I was so mad. And he was like, well, we did have this algorithm and yeah, it did, pick up good people along with bad, but we were trying to get bad. And I still think they're all bad. I'm like, brother, you don't want to meet me in a dark alley because you're a man, but I'm a woman and I'm going to hit you because I am so mad. Because, he was part of what happened and why anybody would allow him to speak blows my mind. But there was some recent proposed rules on the ACA side. And I did get some flack from CMS because they did call me and say, I can't believe you said this. But in my proposed rules, I said, and this person spoke and I called their name. And this is what they said about the administration, because they said, the current administration didn't have the knowledge or expertise to run the office. And, what he said about agents and brokers. And I was so excited about new administration. And somebody from CMS called and I said, can't believe you said that. This is public. This is public information. Your proposed roads are public. I said, that man stood in front of an audience that it was videotaped. That's public.
That's
So don't
public.
tell me
Yeah.
what to do. That was public. He's wrong and I'm right. So I will continue to fight anybody that talks bad about agents and brokers. I refuse to accept anybody saying we're bad or they're bad entities. And I correct, there's not bad agents, there's bad entities, they're offshore call centers, there's all kind of things that are happening. But because of the Biden administration and things that happened that allowed those entities to get into our system, the good will stay and we will survive. And all of your listeners need to know that you're going to survive. Don't freak, just stay strong, pay attention, join an association. If you don't want to be a HOFA member, I am aggressive, I am assertive, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Join one of the other ones that are a little bit more politically correct. But watch me on social media, see that I just met with Senator Cruz, see that I just met with Gary Peters. So we're talking Michigan Democrat, we're talking about Texas Republican, and that I meet with all these folks on a regular basis, and I'm talking agent and broker every time.
I have 50 questions for you. So many things I want to ask you. Before we kind of steer into that, though, I want to make sure that we get a second to talk about this episode's sponsor. Glenn, talk to the audience about the sponsor of episode 97. And like I said, I don't know. We might need a 2-hour episode today because I have a lot of things I want to get into with you on this. Like as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I want to ask this. I want to ask that. I want to ask this.
Yes.
Let's get the sponsor out of the way.
Guys, today's episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by none other than Lead Heroes, the #1 senior insurance lead provider. We have turning 65 leads right now, seniors who are going to be 2 to 5 months out from their 65th birthday. They will need help enrolling into a new Medicare plan, and Lead Heroes would love to help you be connected with these seniors. Normally, these are $45 per lead. Right now, you can get them for $25 per lead. So almost half off only for the next 5 days. So this ends Friday at midnight. Do not wait. We've only done one other promotion like this all year. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to another one anytime soon. So if you're looking for more opportunities to talk to more seniors who are turning 65, head over to leadheroes.com right now. LEADHEROES, leadheroes.com.
Okay, so first question that comes to mind for me, Ronnell, that I wanted to ask you, and feel free to answer this as much or as little as you want. This might be a little bit of a polarizing question, but so my perception, I'm a HOFA member now. I'm one of your biggest fans. I love what you're doing. And I think the reason why we hit it off so well is because I haven't always been politically correct myself. So I kind of like your style. We kind of, are cut from the same cloth in that way. But, for many years, and I don't mean this to offend, not to you, but like to who I'm about to reference here. I have seen just personally, just getting to know you, so much action on your part and on HOFA's part that I've kind of wished other groups would be doing for years. Not saying that they're not doing it, but like, I don't think if they are doing it, I don't think they're doing as good of a job as communicating it as you are, and really being willing to put themselves out there and call things out for what they are, and really pursue these meetings. And like, I might not get invited back to another event. I'm going to take the risk. NABIP is the first one that comes to mind for me. Like, I've had my back and forth with them for years. I made a comment. I'm trying to remember what year it was. Glenn would probably remember. He had a heart attack doing a show with me. But I said something on the lines of, first or second final rule comes out, and I said, I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, where's my membership fee going? What's it for? That's kind of what I said. I got pounced on by the NABIP community.
Before NABIP was even NABIP.
Yeah, they were not NAHU back then. But
NAHU, yes.
And, right. I'm not asking you to trash them or anything like that. But, like, just simple question. Do you feel like some of these other groups could be doing more?
With hundreds of insurance agents and agency owners at the event, this could not be a better opportunity to spotlight your business. If you're looking for a sponsorship opportunity and where to spend your sponsorship dollars this year, the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit is the spot to do it. You can have your own booth. You can network with agents. This is the 4th annual summit, so there's going to be a lot of agents there and a lot of agents who are looking for help from vendors for leads, educational vendors. You could have a software tool. There's so many great vendors that we've had in the past, and we're looking at a lot of great opportunities for businesses to sponsor at the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit. So if you are looking for a sponsorship opportunity, make sure to check out sevenfiguresmedicareagentsummit.com.
Get your tickets today while they're still available and reach out about sponsorship opportunities. We'd love to have you involved with the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit in 2025. Now back to the show.
Other associations have started to watch HOPA. I'll be honest, we've started a coalition of working together. It's just baby steps. It's just started because they're not going to act like me. They're not going to ever act like me. And that's fine because we don't want everybody acting crazy. But, you know, they are doing a little bit more. They're trying to be more aggressive. And they have asked me, which I've asked for 13 years, to work together. They asked me to speak in California, which I flew on my own dime. They asked me to speak in Texas, which I did in my own dime, and fired up the NABIP people. You know, and you can be NABIP and HOPA. There's no reason why you can't be NABIP, HOPA, NAPA, Big IPIA. You can be everything because we all bring something different to the table. Those other folks have been around for hundreds of years. So sometimes they have, you know, some more name recognition with the older people. But remember, new folks on the Hill, they have no freaking idea who anybody is. Maybe they know who an agent or broker are. And that's why when I bring in folks, more than anything, more than HOPA, I want them to know who the agent and broker is, that they are the liaison in their state that's going to help them with any questions they have, answers they have. So I do things absolutely different from anybody, and that's understandable. I have met and loved the new, I guess she's CEO. I keep forgetting what her title is. The new CEO of NABIP. Coolest lady ever. I know she's having some struggles because, you know, she doesn't have an insurance background, but to me, that doesn't matter. If I can sell Tupperware. I mean, I've sold insurance my whole life. You know that if you can sell one thing, you can sell anything.
Absolutely.
So, do I think they're ever going to be like us? No. Do I have lobbyists on stand, being paid besides me? No. Do I have a staff? I have a part-time. So we don't have the, you know, backing that everybody does, but we are somebody to be reckoned with, and people that have met us will never forget us. And the one thing that I do that I know no one else does, I know nobody does, I hug every single person. So Senator Cruz, Senator Peters, everybody in every office, they did not leave before I said, I'm sorry, I'm a hugger. So they are going to remember, if nothing else, that crazy lady from Louisiana hugged me. So CMS doesn't matter. HHS, I hug everybody. I was hugging Dean Mose so much that we have the greatest picture of him like doubled over laughing because I was squeezing him so hard that I'm like, I love you so much. But I just think that we have to show our love, and we have to be different. We have to be strong. They have to know why we're there. You know, I listened to this other association tell me, you know, the way that we approach a Hill visit is we go in and say, hey, you know, what can we do for you? I was like, oh, hell no. I hope we can cuss on here. Oh, hell no.
Yes.
I have
Absolutely.
sometimes 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to tell you what I need. what my members need, what the seniors need, that they deserve an agent, what the ACA clients need. I'm going to tell you what we're doing at home, not, hey, what are you doing? What can I do for you? No, I don't care. I am there to be, to connect with them, let them know what we need, and then follow up with them and make sure that our people are helping them do what they need to do. One of the offices, we had a staffer that talked to us and said, I don't even know what plan to pick when I go, to pick my plan on the Hill. And one of the agents said, call me. Tell every staff, every office, we'll help you. We're free. We will help you and we don't mind. And then therefore they'll tell people that call in their office, constituents, agents and brokers are a good deal. They'll help you. So whether we met with Democratic offices or Republican office, they were amazing. But I do think things are going to get better, Christian. I just think it might take a while. We have done some letters where we were all on, and I'll tell you the first experience. They sent a letter and said, hey, what do you think about this letter? I had our attorneys looked at it, made some easy changes. And they were like, we're not going to make any changes. So I'm not signing the letter then. What do you want me to do? Be your coalition friend to check off what y'all are doing? Hell no, that's not the way we operate. We're going to tell you what Hop needs, because it's not always the same. So they came back and changed their stuff. I'm just going to say they changed it, and we all signed it. So it was a good thing. But until we all go to the table together, it's still going to be, tough for them. They need to get more involved. During the NABIP meetings, I had some of my members call and ask me to set up meetings for them while they were there, because they didn't have enough meetings while they were there. They knew I could call and make a phone call and get them a couple of meetings like within seconds, which I did. So I think there's a lot to learn. I think there's a learning curve. I think there's a lot of old NABIP people that I used to work with that are watching, and they've told me, Ronnell, we're watching you. We know what you're doing. You're doing good things. We might not can tell you publicly, and that's fine. I don't need anybody to pat me on the back, but Hoppa's doing phenomenal things. I mean, this group, and you are on the board, these people are the leaders of the industry, and I am so proud of them. And the white papers that we bring are written by members. I just can't say how much I love my people. I love my people.
I love it. I love everything about it. And I love you. I love what you're doing, and I love everything that I'm seeing. And happy to be a supporter of Hoffa in any way that I can. I think I've made that pretty clear. So question I wanted to kind of ask next. Sorry, Glenn, I don't want to steal. I want to
no.
I know question hog.
Well, you said you had
50. Just staring at your ears. He can't even concentrate.
I'm mesmerized by your outfit, all of it. I'm soaking it in.
We'll soak it in because they're coming right off as soon as it's over.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about CMS, right? The Medicare side of things, haven't been responsive, haven't been super, cooperative or warm and fuzzy, willing to have conversations. You might not know the answer to this, and that's fine if you don't, but have you heard anything about 2024 final rule? We heard a lot of things that, we heard from somebody, we heard from somebody that was very involved in the situation on the show that said, by the end of March, they were going to have a court decision on last year's stay, basically on the final rule, right? Still haven't really heard much of anything. Like, do you have any insight in terms of where that's at, or is it just kind of in a black hole at this point?
I haven't heard anything new. When I was in California, I did meet with the lead attorney of integrity who took the lead on that lawsuit. Amazing lady. And she was very positive about it. However, I haven't heard anything lately. I think because of the new administration, everybody's, different. The attitude is different. The way they look at things is different. I would be surprised if it didn't fall in the favor of agents and brokers, because I think that unless you're just totally against us, and maybe insane because you don't know what's going to happen. I think we're finally in the driver's seat. It might take us a little while, but I think we're finally in the driver's seat. And I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of insane things coming out of CMS, because as soon as it does, we're going to know who to pop and who to keep talking to. So regardless if CMS comes out immediately with, hey, we're the person, we still have, Senator Cassidy, who is the chair of Senate Health, and he is the chair of Senate Finance Health, and he is one of my best friends in my will. We have so many people that we can go to that we don't have to go to CMS. Like on the ACA side, there was a time when Health Sherpa and CMS said the clients are theirs. Can't download them off their website. They're theirs. And I was like, oh no, those are ours. You would have never saw them if you wouldn't have, if we would have put them here, hello. So yes, CMS nor Health Sherpa were helping me. So that same day, because you got to help me fast because this is happening, I called Senator Cassidy. Senator Cassidy, within the end of the day, reached out to CMS. Now, did CMS call me and had some ugly words for me? Yes, they did. But doesn't matter. It was fixed within the day. So just because we might not have CMS Medicare in our pocket yet, like we do ACA that's going to listen to us, doesn't mean we're still not in the driver's seat, because we are. And you need to know that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest telltale signs of everything that you're saying that was really, in my opinion, a reason to be super optimistic about the future is, CMS drops this proposal on the Medicare side end of 2024, right? Q4. And it looked as frightening as any final rule we've ever seen. We covered it extensively on the show.
Yes.
And then we get the final rule a couple of weeks ago, and none of it was in there. And I was like, wow. I'm like, that's a first in the last 4 years, which is so encouraging to see.
Exactly.
Glenn, jump in. Questions. This is not a 2% conversation.
No, it's just, I know you had a lot of questions. I want to make sure you had your time to ask. So, I think one of the things I've talked to a ton of people about Dr. Oz, obviously the new administrator coming in. Christian and I have spent a lot of time speculating about what type of change he might bring, and then I've even heard a little bit through the grapevine that he's been very aggressive about meeting with carriers, like wanting to get things done, take action, kind of that's what I've heard. Obviously, this is like third-hand information. I would love to know. I know you said you haven't met with him yet. You're trying to meet with him. What's the word on the street on Mehmet, on Dr. Oz? Is there anything that maybe you could tell us that you've heard, or anything that maybe you're looking forward to, or maybe something negative that you've heard? I'd be curious to know. And if it's totally speculative, that's okay too, because sometimes that's what we do on Seven Figures or Bust podcast. We're known to speculate. So
I've been accused of that once or twice.
Yes.
What I find is interesting is the last leaders of HHS and CMS didn't do any. I mean, probably people don't even know who they were. I mean, they didn't really do anything. Maybe I saw one letter. So you're wondering how much the next two are going to get involved. I'm not really sure. They're being more vocal than the other ones, because at least you know who they are. But I'm excited, and I just don't think that they're going to be against agents and brokers. I just don't. Once everything settles and they have a chance to, meet with Peter Nelson or meet with the folks, and once I have a chance to hug and squeeze Dr. Oz, and it's going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. Because I'm also going to pay, because I want to feel his six pack, just saying. But I'm going to meet him. Absolutely. I was even talking as late as Saturday with somebody who was like, okay, here's somebody that was just close to you that you don't realize what role they play, and you need to contact this person. They're going to get you in. Okay.
All right.
We're never
very close.
You're sitting next to, what I mean?
Yes.
Especially now, because everybody's new. Everybody's new coming in. So I really think once he has the chance to have like the Wyden experience, where he meets some agents and brokers, and he sees that, the last couple of years that Biden administration, that kind of rhetoric needs to go away. Agents and brokers do not fit into that stupid, talking points that we're bad. We're not. You allowed that to happen with the, date.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Ronnell, you have frozen it into time right now. We're hoping this is temporary here.
While we're waiting,
Yeah.
there's an article that I wanted to react to, but I don't know if we're going to have time today. I don't want to rush
I don't
it.
know if we will. I'm looking at the
you-
clock. I don't think we'll have to. I actually read this one extensively over the week. Normally, I'm sitting here like, Christian, tell me what's going on. But I read this article extensively, waiting for this today. But
it might be something we need to move into tomorrow's show, because I want to get
think
into
so.
it. I want to give it like 40 minutes. If possible. But yeah, I read every word of it. Oh, she's back.
She's back.
Okay,
Woo!
there we go. Sorry, continue. I think the last thing we heard was
the Senator Wyden experience.
yes, that's
So he needs to meet some agents and brokers, because with the Biden experience of the Biden administration, and I'm not going to blame this on Biden because it's been there forever, but allowing name, date of birth, and state, you can get in. Then the Biden did the under 50% SP, special enrollment period that anybody could change at any time. So all these bots could get into the system and steal clients. So it wasn't good agents. So in our meeting with Peter Nelson, I told him that I wasn't going to do gang signs, but we had come up with like a thing for 2FA is the way. So 2-factor authentication. So we were like, everybody ended their sentence, 2FA is the way. And I was like, okay, I have gang signs, but I'm not going to do them. But you need a 2-factor authentication. That's going to stop the fraud right there. But the fraud before was not us. They allowed it to come in. So I put every bit on that on the back of CMS. CMS would have controlled their own house. All those bad entities wouldn't have been allowed to come in, and we wouldn't have had the bad name that's being thrown at us right now. So it's not us. It was CMS. They need to get their stuff together. And obviously, by giving everybody their certifications back, they're doing the right thing now.
Wasn't Dr. Oz a licensed agent, though? Wasn't he?
I kind of heard that, so maybe we need to remind him. But hasn't everybody been a licensed agent? I hear that all the time. It's like, well, I was a licensed agent. What did you do?
That's true.
What does that mean? Yeah.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? That's so true.
Question for you, Ronnell. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I think we're going to do like a full show tomorrow on this article, but I did want to have a chance to kind of get your reaction to it. So I'm sure you heard the news last week, Department of Justice going after several carriers, several huge publicly traded call centers, eHealth, SelectQuote, GoHealth. First off,
three carriers, three
call centers.
Brokers. Yeah. So Humana,
brokers,
and brokers. Yeah. Humana, Anthem. Who was the third one? I'm blanking on now.
I was trying not to say the carriers by name.
It's in the news. It's in the news.
I think I have the lawsuit in one of my tabs up there.
Yeah. This is public information. We're not saying anything. There's no defamation here. This is just what's in the news.
I remember the third one, but I'm sure it's in my tabs.
I can tell you. It's Humana, Anthem, and Aetna.
Yeah. That's what.
Very interesting, because I think it was yesterday or the day before, I had this reporter with some law firm wanting to get my opinion. And I was like, I'm not really sure that I want to do that. I sent it to Dicerus, and Dicerus didn't answer me. James has been so busy getting everybody's certification back. But I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. What it says in the lawsuit, and I haven't read it, word for word, but what I saw was, things like, incentives and things like that, which they have, but are they getting more than anybody else? I don't know. I've always said, why can't an insurance company do contests and awards for their best sellers? Everybody does that. Every industry does that. They have awards
Sure.
banquets and whatever. So what have these three companies, three call centers, besides I did read one had out of country call centers, which is concerning, because I was like, tell me about, these three call centers. Do they have independent agents that work for them? I was just kind of going down the rabbit hole to find out what are they doing different from the rest of us. So it's very concerning that it was filed. It's very concerning if it's true. I just don't know if it is. I don't know if I believe it is. I'm so sick of us being demonized that it's kind of like you don't even know what to believe anymore. And
Sure.
Is it another one of those demonized attacks, or are they doing something they shouldn't do and they should be stopped? I honestly don't know. I mean, I know that's not an answer. Well,
Sure.
whether I do or don't, I something we need to watch, because those are
For
three
sure.
huge companies, and as long as if they would stop saying brokers, I wish they would say call centers or whatever. I would wish they'd
Yeah.
take agent brokers out of their mouths. And if I could sue them and make that happen, I would. I asked Dicers, can we sue everybody? And they're like, no, Ronnell, you can't say that. James is always like, no,
everybody.
you need to be quiet.
that was my biggest problem with it too. Not that it's happening, because again, I feel like there's not enough information out there in terms of the specifics of what kind of kickbacks they're talking about. It almost sounds like it's marketing dollars, it's co-op incentive, but for all we know, it could be a special under the table deal made between, because these are huge call centers partnered with everybody involves a publicly traded
Right.
company.
Right.
So,
and we know CMS, everybody's met with these folks that are bringing all these people in. Everybody was happy with them last year. You're bringing all these numbers to us. That makes us happy. But now, I mean, does the hammer need to be brought down? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest problem with it was the fact that they referred to them as brokers. It's like a person that's out of the
final
industry,
rule all over again.
Right,
It's
right.
Final rule all over again. It
A
really
person
is.
that's not in the industry, that's just reading through this article, would probably read it as like a freaking corner agent, with an office on the corner, going to people's houses and sitting at the kitchen table. That's what you think of, in my opinion, when you hear the term broker. And I hate that terminology.
Right.
I think that is just so. I hate that there's just this lumped in together kind of mentality at times.
Right. Yeah, and that's the problem. That's the hurdle we're going to have to overcome. Introducing everybody to who a real agent and broker. That people deserve to choose us. That we're free. That the insurance companies pay for us. We don't charge people in most cases unless your state allows you to. But they need to know. That's why I wanted the White administration to understand. The fact I brought somebody to the IRS before. People pick people up, bring them to the doctor. I mean, we go beyond, and it's not about sales, it's about relationships. And we take care of people and we love people. And I'm just tired of, people thinking that we're evil and we're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very,
I couldn't agree more. We're getting close to top of the hour, so I want to make sure we have time to kind of transition into final thoughts. Glenn, before we do that, were there any questions you wanted to ask that you didn't get a chance to?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious if there's anything on the horizon. I think my takeaway just from our conversation today, Ronnell, is that there's so much that is in transition right now with the new administration. I mean, Dr. Oz just got sworn in officially a few weeks ago, right? So it seems like there's so much, it's such a fluid situation, right? Like there's so much influx, there's so much transition happening. It's probably hard to really pin down a lot of these different potential changes or different things going on. But that being said, is there anything going on that you feel like this change we'll probably see soon, or maybe there's something that you're excited about specifically that you could speak to. There's a lot of I call them Chicken Little agents. There's a lot of these Chicken Littles out there who they love to grab onto these headlines, anything that's remotely negative, and then they run with it. The industry's failing. The industry is failing. Everybody get out. Everybody get out. Switch to a different line of insurance. So, anything positive I think that you could share would be great for those Chicken Little listeners.
Right. I would say that do not get your news from Facebook. Hello. That's where they're getting some of these taglines from. But starting December, we started going on the Hill and we started talking about things that are important to agents and brokers. So don't sit on your behinds and not do anything. Get involved. Write letters to your congressman. Write letters to your senators. Let them know what's important to you. Help us. Go on the Hill with us. We have a lot of work to do. And I have said 2024 is the year we take our industry back. And if you want to be a part and you want to join the party, then join the party. You want to sit at home and talk about negative things, then sit at home, because I don't want to hear negative things. But we're going to make change. We're going to get our commissions back, because we're going to make sure insurance companies are held to task. We're going to stop them from all this steering, because they're going to get in trouble for that too. So we're going to make sure that agents and brokers are paid for doing a fair pay for a fair day of work. You deserve to be paid, and that's Hoffa's job, to make sure that you're paid and you're taken care of, and that we're your voice. And if you don't want to have a voice and you want me to say it and you want me to call out somebody, then you whisper in my ear, and I have no problem saying it out loud. I don't have a contract with any of these people. They have yelled at me, they have threatened me, but it doesn't scare me. I don't scare easy.
I love it. Before we move into final thoughts, can you talk to us about, if an agent's watching this, we're averaging out across all platforms right now about 1,500, 2,000 watches every episode. So plenty of people will see this. Talk to us about how an agent can get involved and support Hoffa if they wanted to do so. What's the best way to do that? What's the best way to connect?
The easiest way is just to go to our website, www.hafamerica.org. Click on membership, join. Click on the pictures. Look at some of the people we meet with. I'm uploading some right now. We put our money where our mouth is. So we're not fake. This is not fake news. Join us, get involved, give to the PAC. The PAC is how we give money. That's how we get in front of some of these folks. That's how we have lunch and dinner and cocktails with some of these folks. Just get involved. Quit sitting on your behind and watching what's going on Facebook, because that's not the answer. You want to know what's really happening? Call me. I have no problem Zooming with anybody. I will tell you what's going on. But good things are happening. 2025 is the year we take our industry back.
Yeah, pull the website here. Pulled it up. You got a great website. I love this. So again, that's hafamerica.org. I want to say too really fast, and you know what? I'll just make this my final thoughts, and I'll turn it over to you two to share your final thoughts. I think the more of us that can come together in the industry, the more voices that can be heard. We talk about all of these problems it's a shared problem. The terminology that's being used, that's incorrect. There's so much going on that affects all of us. Every single person that can contribute, that can make a difference. And if you don't have the time or you don't have the space, joining an organization, supporting an organization like Hoffa is everything. So head over to this website right now, you guys. If you're listening to this, once you get a chance, or if you're watching right now, I think Hoffa is incredible what you guys are doing. Ronnell, I 100% support what you guys are doing. So appreciate your time. Appreciate you being on the show today, and would love to have you back sometime soon. Those are my final thoughts. Mr. Brindle, final thoughts.
Yes. Okay, so my final thoughts, you guys. First off, Ronnell, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it, as always. Yeah. Love getting to talk to you and kind of hearing what's going on and kind of your perception of kind of where the future's going. Guys, I would say, some of you wonder what you can do. Some of you the last 4 years have kind of felt a little powerless from basically the boot coming down and stepping on us as ants is kind of how it's felt at times.
Yes.
But the way that you can make your voice heard is by supporting organizations like HAFA and what Ronnell is doing. NABIP too. I'm not trying to beat up NABIP on this stream. That's not what I'm trying to do. Support NABIP as well. Support both organizations.
Absolutely.
I support NABIP anytime I can. I help with their events. I do all kinds of things for NABIP. So, you guys should be involved in both organizations, and they're going to give us, I feel like, the best fighting chance at getting in front of the right people, having the right conversations, and they're going to make the most impact. Like some people now, before I say this, I want to preface my comments. Some people think like, the way we're going to be heard is by giving our feedback to CMS when they ask for it. I'm not saying don't do that, but some of you react like that's going to be the end all be all. It wouldn't surprise me if they barely even looked at those. Really, you need advocates that are actually having these meetings and having these conversations. And,
lobbyists, yes.
And everything that HAFA's doing, everything that Ronnell's doing is a perfect example of that. So those would be my final thoughts on today's episode. Ronnell, any final thoughts you'd like to leave with the audience?
Obviously, they read my comments, so you never know who's
right. Yes.
Read. True. And I would just say, look for my hugging picture with Dr. Oz. Watch us on all of us on social media. We're all very involved, and just see what we're up to, because I think you're going to see great things happen. I am very, very excited about what we're going to do as an army, as a HAFA army.
I love it.
Love it.
And I expect to get that picture texted to me when it happens. I want to see it. I want to see it before the public sees it. Well, thank you for coming on today. We got through the show. These can finally come off. And
no, keep them on forever.
For all of you guys that are watching, appreciate your support on the show as always. If you're watching on the live stream, make sure to comment. One comment enters you into one entry for Freebie Friday. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. It's going to be the best place long term where you're going to be able to see the full video replays of the show, as Facebook's only saving them for 90 days. Make sure to give us a 5-star review on platforms like Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Here's to your massive success. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.